Did any of these highly regarded defensive backs, again, I'm going to merge the spring with the spring game because of, some continuity there. And obviously, Devin Sanchez, we talked about him a couple weeks ago and how impressive he's been. Aaron Scott broke up a pass in the end zone early in the game. Anyone there that distinguished themselves?
For me, I was impressed with what I saw from Lorenzo Styles Jr. all spring long whenever we got to see him, because that's a tough ask to replace Jordan Hancock and all that he did, and they're trying to do that. And you saw him break up a pass, I think, in the spring game. We saw him do it pretty much every practice. He was breaking up passes. So impressed by him. Aaron Scott has had his moments for sure. Fell down in the end zone against Mylan Graham, but didn't get taken advantage of there. Devin Sanchez is perfectly fine. Everything you would want in a true freshman and more, and nothing seems too big for him. He wasn't really attacked all that much from what I've seen in the practices that we got to watch. So I think they feel pretty darn good about their top four corners. And the other thing is, we also saw Lorenzo Styles playing corner and Jermaine Matthews playing nickel in the spring game. So they're doing some interesting things there as well. They know that Jermaine Matthews can play nickel if they need that. It was just interesting to see Lorenzo Styles playing outside, and Bryce West can do that as well. And so the corner nickel seems like they can mix and match there. But I think they've got 6 guys that can play, and Lorenzo Styles and Bryce West have both done pretty well at nickel.
I'm going to agree. I thought that Aaron Scott battled his behind off, and I've got a ton of photos from our photographer, Dan Harker, with balls in the air to Mylan Graham and other receivers, and Aaron Scott is right there battling these guys. I think I made the observation a while back, your starters are Davis and Igbanos, and Lorenzo Styles probably as the slot corner, I believe, Tony, if I'm right. And then Jermaine Matthews, who's outstanding on the other side. And those 3 guys may go on and play in the NFL, but I think the guys coming up behind them probably have bigger, over their career trajectory, bigger, longer, better NFL ceiling than the guys who are starting right now. It's just where they are in their stage of development. IGB and those guys are here, and Scott and those guys are here. They're coming. And Scott, Sanchez, and Bryce West are all outstanding. So this may very well be the best 6-man contingent of cornerbacks in Ohio State history. And I'd have to go back and really, really study this and look at it. But this is about as good as it gets at that position. And I think teams are going to have a really difficult time completing. You think about it, okay, somebody may hit a pass or 2 here and there, but are you going to hit 4 or 5 of them in one drive to go down and score on this defense? I don't think so. I think that they're going to figure it out eventually if that's what happens, and bat a couple of those away. So to me, that's such a strength on this defense, and that's what they have to have, because until the pass rush is proven, those guys are going to be kind of put on the firing line to make plays on the back end. And so far, they're showing that they can do it. So that's good. As I said, you got Caleb Downs, the All-American at safety. What's the deal at the other safety? Is it going to be Hartford? Is it going to be McLean? I don't know at this point. I think we'll see as they get into preseason camp. Good that they've got both of them there to see what they can do. Leroy Roker seems like a pretty pleasant surprise. He was an unheralded recruit last year, redshirt freshman. He's in the 2 deep right now behind Caleb Downs. Doesn't figure to play a whole lot, if Caleb Downs is there, but and especially he's not going to go in at that other position with those other 2 guys in front of him. So yet good to know that he's coming on, and this is Caleb Downs' last season at Ohio State. Newsflash. So you're going to need to develop and get people ready for the future as well. So again, linebacker position, to me, Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese are studs, and even though Reese is a little inexperienced. And Peyton Pierce, he was everywhere on Saturday. I probably wrote his number down. They didn't give us tackle stats, but I would bet he had 7 or 8 just as a guess. And he just seemed to be all around the football on Saturday. He got to play quite a bit, obviously, because he's a young guy. So future at that position, if they stay with this 4-2-5 defense, looks pretty good as well.
Well, I sorry, Mark, just wanted to interrupt about the best group of cornerbacks maybe in OSU history, because I immediately had to start looking at 1997 and 1996. Like the 96 team, Steve, as you know, Antoine Winfield, Sean Springs, Ahmed Plummer was on there. I think Ty Howard may have been on there as well. Yeah, he was on there. So I don't want
to.
to.
Really good group. Yeah.
Central
Springs and
McClellan.
Winfield played forever in the NFL. I mean, no question about it. And Plummer did play for a few years with the 49ers too.
He was a first round pick too. So
you got some guys there, 3 really good ones there out of that group. And there have been some times, and I know here in just the last 10 years, you had some overlap with, Denzel Ward. I have to get that right. Conley, Arnett, Lattimore, who was 2013 and who was 2016 and who was 2018. I can't keep them all straight, but there was a lot of, and Okuda and Wade, there was a lot of overlap there with some really good players on a team together. Who were the corners when they won the national championship? It was Eli Apple and who was the other?
Duran Grant.
Yeah. Saw Duran. Duran is, I think, helping out back at his alma mater at St. Vincent St. Mary. And he brought some kids down to a practice and got to say hi to him. Got to say hi to Jalen Marshall. He's helping out back at his high school in Middletown. So got to say hi to him. He came in and watched practice one day. So a lot of guys are coming back. Evan Spencer was at the spring game. I know. I saw a picture of him down on the sideline last Saturday. So a lot of guys, are staying in and around the program. And, that's great to see that, they've got guys that are in the NFL. They've got guys, and they come back when they can, obviously. And, the team got their rings on Saturday. They got 3 rings, 1 from Ohio State for winning the national championship, 1 from the playoff for just simply qualifying for the playoff, and then 1 from the playoff for winning the national championship. So 3 rings for every player. And it was the perfect day to do it because most of the NFL-bound guys were able to come before the draft. Once the draft hits, they pretty much have to move to the city where they've been drafted and start working out and, do the mini camps and, all the stuff that goes with being a pro football player. So they were able to get back on campus, and obviously the current team members that were on the team were there as well. So very fitting tribute to that team. We were joking that the rest of the Big Ten had to be eating their heart out because they stopped the scrimmage at the end of the first quarter and spent 5 full minutes passing those rings out, with interviews on Big Ten Network, stopping the game with Will Howard and Sawyer, Jack Sawyer as well. Like if you're Iowa, Michigan State, Penn State, USC, Washington, Oregon, whoever fan, you had to be, I can't believe they're wasting time on TV talking to these people, passing out these rings. Yeah, eat your heart out.
So, Steve, the rings that were given to them for making the playoffs, I wasn't sure if that came from Ohio State or the CFP. Are you?
They said 2 from the playoff. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is where I heard it.
So basically, all 12 teams and got some rings, I would assume, for making the playoffs. I wasn't sure if that was just an Ohio State thing.
You get a ring, and Penn State, you get a ring, and Indiana, you get a ring. Michigan, might need those rings we gave you. We might need those back, but otherwise, you get a ring, and you get a ring, and you get a ring. Yeah.
Does Oregon get a Rose Bowl ring?
Participation ring. The Big Ten championship.
They do have the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
They are the champions. Yes, of the Big Ten.
Yeah, those sorry people. 34-0. Even Trump knew that score. He said it was 34-0 in the second quarter. Back in my smoking days, I would have got the cigarettes out and took a celebratory lap around the outside of the Rose Bowl and puffed on a couple cigarettes, but don't do that anymore. So that's good. in the second quarter. I would have stopped watching the game and just, gone on a victory lap.
I know it was tough. It was delightful. It was amazing. But yeah, that was that for that to sink in. I was just sitting there, just stunned, sitting there, 34-0 against what's supposed to be the
The
best team
nation
in the
sits
country.
in stunned, shocked silence as the best team in America rocked what people thought was the best team in America.
Congratulations on winning the Big Ten. Now you're an underdog in your first playoff game.
Everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Absolutely, and we know that we are here just about every Wednesday. It's every week, folks. We've never missed a week, but typically on Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, the audio's on your favorite audio platform. You can catch Steve on Bucknuts, Tony, Buckeye Weekly, and Buckeye Huddle. And before I get to Tony here with what he's got going on this week, we do have a recruiting note that came in, of course, here in the last 24 hours with TCU commit wide receiver Brock Boyd flipping to Ohio State. Brock Boyd, who hailed from the same high school as Quinn Ewers, caught 111 passes and 19 touchdowns. Not for his career, for this last season in Texas. So
I think you have to trust in Brian Hartline. If he says this guy needs to be on the Ohio State football team and he's going to coach him, I think you have to trust him. It was kind of funny. Boyd, everybody reported on the verbal commitment, and then Boyd put out there a message to 24/7 Sports. Please fix my height and weight. I think he's supposed to be 6'3", 6'2", or 6'3", 183, something like that. I don't know the exactitudes on that, but something in that range. And so I thought that was kind of cute that I'm a big time recruit. If you'd please fix my height and weight, I'd really appreciate it. So,
it's like he's I think 24/7 had him like 6'1", 165. And people are like, why is Ohio State getting a commit from this 3-star 165-pound guy?
Yeah, no doubt. But I thought the same thing. And I got on his profile 24/7. I looked down and I see they had his rushing yards. Like, then you had to scroll off the page to get the receiving 111 receptions. That just kind of, that tells me that my man's can run the routes and he can catch the football. So to me, and as you guys said, if that's yours high school, that is the creme de la creme of Texas football right there. They're in the top 10 percentile, I think, of football programs in Texas. So I would say you got a winner with him.
Yeah, definitely. He can catch the ball in traffic. He can run after the catch. A lot of reasons to see why Brian Hartline likes him. Yeah,
TCU commit flipped, and as we all know, TCU did play for the national championship 2 years ago. So that's a great football program.
Technically speaking, yes, they
just
arrived.
Like Penn State was in the Final Four this year.
Yes, they got off the bus. They limped on the bus. There were bodies that,
This is the difference. This is the difference. Notre Dame made the championship game, and I think with Marcus Freeman, if like with Ohio State, if everything just locked into place one year, they might win one with Marcus Freeman. Penn State, I don't think is ever going to win one with Franklin, but whatever. Whoever.
All right, Steve's declared it. I go back and forth with Penn State. I think you can look at that season two different ways. If you want to go pro Penn State, we broke through. We made the Big Ten championship game for the first time in 8 years. We made the playoff. We 11-1. We won playoff games. We came within a field goal of getting to the championship game. But on the other hand, it's,
who'd you beat?
You went 11-1 because you didn't have a Michigan type team as a second team on the schedule. Yes, you made the playoff because it got expanded to 12. Yeah, and you beat Boise State and SMU, and those are the kind of teams you would have beaten the last 10 years anyway. So what did you really do?
What was their best regular season one? Was it Illinois or somebody? Or
10-3 Illinois. Yeah,
that was it.
That would be the one. It was that, and that was pretty ugly. They were up 14-7 with like 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well.
Yeah, that would. Boise State, SMU, the other two. It's a nice little route to the Final Four for them. They
They
got
had an easier route to the Final Four than Ohio State and Oregon, who both beat them. So yeah, it's we will go to our grave saying that. So.
Tony, Buckeye Huddle, Buckeye Weekly.
Yeah, rather than promote myself, Mark, I will just say last week was episode 312, which divided by 52 is actually 6. So last week we wrapped up our 6th year of doing this, and
Sixth
welcome,
big year.
welcome to
Now
the
we're
start.
into year 7.
This is the first episode of year 7.
Oh, goodness. I'm going to retire from this one day. 35 years later or something.
2019, huh?
That's
spring
crazy.
Of 2019. We decided
Unless were we doing 2 shows a week at one point? I don't think so,
I don't
right?
believe so.
No,
Never.
never.
So we got this cranked up in the spring. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
have to go back and
Wow. So
maybe
like recapping or maybe just like previewing the 2019 spring game, maybe, or something like that.
who knows what was in my mind
I
at
think,
the time to
I
say,
don't know if
hey,
you caught this, Tony, that we've got a portal entrant. Reese Stocksdale, I think, has entered the portal, walk-on wide receiver, as our friend Dave Biddle would say, playing time unaffected.
Also, third team punter Anthony Veneri.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I don't think I'll be writing up either of those, but
Yeah, probably not. Message board post.
yes.
So there you go.
there's one
Oh my
Tony
God.
Gerdeman, episode 1.
Oh my God.
There
A
is
young Tony
And
Gerdeman.
Claire. I forgot about Claire too.
let's see,
Oh,
let's
Claire
see.
was in it. Yeah, Claire was
we-
with us for a while.
Yeah, so Tony,
And then we replaced Claire with new
Claire, me, Claire,
Claire.
or Steve.
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah,
That's before we had boxes. YouTube
Yeah.
would only give us the single shots back and forth.
yeah. I was back at my old house
There it
too.
is. We're yucking it up on something.
Yep.
All right. There it is. That was easy
Oh.
to find.
All right, guys. I don't have anything going on at Bucknuts. Just recapping the spring and got a ton of player interviews and different things we're going to be releasing, and got some interesting off-season features that I want to work on and some different things. So I got some ideas I'm going to be diving into when I get those projects together. Debating about a book. I did one in 2014. Haven't come to grips with whether I want to do one yet or not for this season, but this was about the time I got the cracking on it 10 years ago. So
Ooh.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
Steve. Do it.
Yeah,
we have reached our summer. Well, Steve, I'll tell you, we're also working on one. So
good. Yeah, I'd want to get it done by mid-June. That way it's out by mid-July before the season starts, if possible. So, yep, we'll see.
And of course,
All right. Folks, before Steve's book knocks mine off the coffee table, order this.
Buy
It's a
Mark's
quick
book.
read. Yeah. Disputed National Champions. The link's down in the description section. You'll like it.